Hey, good morning. This is our third grade coaching session over literary essay. Thank you for joining me this morning. Just want to remind you that the literary essay unit starts February 24th. So you've got about 2 weeks to be getting ready for this unit and getting all the materials that you need, talking to your librarian or your media specialist about how you're going to get some help and examples for students. So let's get right into what is a literary essay because I think there's a lot of misconception of what it really is and what it's not. And so we want to make sure that we are giving students a clear understanding of what literary essay is. This literary essay unit is new for 3, 4, and 5. And so this is kind of their first taste of what literary essay is. So, first of all, you have to make sure that you are giving kids good reading materials, good books, good stories that are, your thicker stories, your stories that have some meat to them, so that they can write about what they think after they read the story. So, I'm going to read one to you. This one's a little bit long, but it'll give you a really good idea of a model for a literary essay. So, this one's called Growing Up is Not All Fun, a literary essay about the book 11 by Maxwell. Some people think growing up is fun or exciting, having birthday parties and blowing out candles, but smart kids know that growing up is not fun at all. Your old clothes don't fit anymore and you can't play the same games and you need to worry about new things like money or work. In the story 11 by Sandra Cisneros, Rachel comes to an understanding of what being 11 really feels like. Rachel comes to understand that when you are 11, you are also 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. In the story, Rachel sits at her desk, staring at the nasty red sweater Mrs. Price made her keep. She was disgusted with it and wanted to cry like she was 3. She tried not to let her 3 come out, though. Why did she want to carry over or cry over a sweater? She thought she was 11, old enough not to cry over something silly like a sweater. She then realizes that she was not just 11, but 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There are other sections of the story where Rachel understands that when you're 11, you're also all the ages inside. For example, she says, when you are scared and need to sit on your mama's lap, there is the part of you that is still 5. And when you say something stupid, that is the part of you that is still 10. Another section of the story where Rachel sees that she has all the ages is when you are sad and need to cry, that is the part of you that is still 3. And one more place is when she blabbed and stuttered to Mrs. Price when she wanted to say something that was part of her that was still 4. Her understanding that when you are 11, you are also all the ages inside is important because the way Sandra Cisneros stretches out 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, instead of just saying all the other ages. She really wants to show that this is an important part. Something else that Rachel comes to understand is that turning 11 can be a letdown. I see this in the text here. Rachel expected to feel 11 on her birthday as soon as she woke up, but she did not. She opened her eyes and everything was just like yesterday, but it was today. She went to school and expected to feel like a big 11-year-old, but instead had a terrible day. Mrs. Price forces her to wear a nasty, disgusting sweater. She cries in front of the whole class like she was 3. At the end of the day, she just wanted it to be gone and forgotten. Other parts in the text where I see that Rachel understands being 11 can be a letdown are, you don't feel 11, not right away. It takes a few days, weeks even, sometimes even months until you say 11 when they ask you. And you are not small 11, not until you are almost 12. And when she realizes she does not know what to do when Mrs. Price forces her to wear the sweater, she does not have enough ages yet. I can really tell that Rachel does not feel 11 because Rachel says, I'm 11, or a variation of that lot, and that shows that she really has to remind herself, because that is not the way she feels. Also, Sandra Cisneros made a list of examples at the end of the story of things that are far away, like, I wish I was 102 or anything but 11, and far away like a runaway balloon, or like a teeny tiny little hole in the sky. This really shows how much Rachel wants the day to be over with because she did not have a happy birthday. She had a letdown birthday. Literature can help you understand things better. For example, I have come through Rachel's thoughts and experiences to a conclusion that growing up is not all birthday parties and blowing out candles, and I have learned that I should appreciate being young while I am. So that's an example of a literary essay. And of course, this one's a little more advanced than you're going to get from your third graders. But I wanted to give you a chance to look through it. I'm going to back up for just a second and share with you some of the things that maybe you noticed. First of all, it has a very strong introduction and conclusion in the piece. Also, you can see that there are lots of examples from the text. And so that's why you want your students really paying attention to what's being said. There's a lot of times that you take quotes straight from it. And then also there are parts where they kind of have to infer and make some judgments of why the author put things in the text that they did. So that's our example of a literary essay. So let me just really quick for you explain what is it and what is it not. What is it? It's writing based on the reader's interpretation of a literary work, such as a poem, short story, or a novel. It is about a theme or big idea in a literary text that you have read. It provides text evidence, which we talked about, to support the central idea, and it may include the reader's opinion of the connection to the text. So, what is it not? It is not a summary. So, it is not, let me tell you what happens in the story. It's not a basic retelling. A literary essay is a short composition which explains the author's point of view and reflections about a literary selection. So, to get ready for this unit, you really need to model it because right now we are very used to just summarizing or retelling stories, especially in our read aloud. And we need to move over to start talking about, okay, what's the big theme or big idea of this story? Let's give some text evidence and kind of write what you think about the story. So I would encourage you to find some short books, even if you're using some picture books, to start modeling this before the unit starts. So even if you do it with your read aloud, start writing just a short literary essay that you can share with your students. So, why do we do this literary essay? It's hard, yes, but it promotes critical thinking and analysis of literary text. And if anybody has any experience with the star, which I know you do, you know we've got to get these little third graders doing some critical thinking and thinking about the text. It supports a deeper understanding and a fuller appreciation of the poem and what or short story or novel, whatever they're reading. And you know again, that goes straight back to the test. It also helps the reader learn how to write his or her own work or poetry or whatever they are writing because they start to understand why an author created the story the way they did. So they're going to start noticing things about the craft of writing and being an author. And again, we know that this is something that is going to be so very valuable come test time. So we've got a good 2 months before the test. And this is a perfect way to really extend that thinking, get those inferences going, get that critical thinking going, and it'll really make a difference. I want to remind you that we need to be having students actively engaged during our mini lesson. Quick reminder, your mini lesson needs to be mini. We're talking 10 minutes. If you have your kids up on the floor more than 10 or 12 minutes, I really need you to kind of evaluate that. Maybe today will be the day that you kind of watch the clock closely and make sure your mini lessons are mini and that during active engagement, they're writing. Make sure that they've got their notebooks, that they're doing some quick writes, that they're writing for homework. You can do stop and jots during your read aloud, something that they're thinking about while they're doing their independent reading. We know from Marzano that writing is a way to really stretch them. So we want to make sure that you're giving your kids lots of time to talk, yes, to each other, but we also want them time writing. So please include that in your instruction this week. Here's just a quick lesson list from the literary essay. And again, it's up in the upper right-hand corner if you want to download those right now and have those units ready for you, or it is on iExplore that you can be aware of. But I want you to notice that lessons 1 through 3 allow students to grow ideas about a text through looking at detail, character, and conversation. And those are 3 things that are really evident in our STAR test also. So this is a great little tie-in for them. There's some conversation cards that I included in the literary essay appendix that you can download, cut out, and use, or if you want to use one of these and put it underneath your document camera. These are great ways to get kids talking, especially your ELLs. They need to practice through conversation before they can write, and this is a great way to get kids talking. So here's just some other examples of it. 5, 6, and 7 are all about supporting evidence from the text. And so if you have noticed that maybe in your checkpoints or in your benchmark that your kids were having trouble with that, check out 5, 6, and 7. 8's kind of putting it all together so that they can write their literary essay. And this will be a good guide for you also so that you know what you are looking for. And 9 is all about the introduction and conclusion. So if, again, you're working on introduction and conclusion, in writing, this is a great resource for you. A couple of things I want you to remember. Get started on notebook entries during the read aloud before the unit. So give them that chance to do it before the unit starts. Really push them to start to think critically about their independent reading. Maybe have some conversations with them about what they're thinking about. Students will learn how to analyze a story and grow the big idea. And you know that on the STAR test, there are questions that say, what's the big lesson or what's the major theme? That kind of question might show up. And so we want to give them lots of experience with that. Students will learn how to support their idea by collecting evidence from the stories and things that they're reading. And we know we need that. We need them to practice going back into a text and proving what they're thinking. And also, students will include their central idea in a good crafted writing with an introduction, has topic sentences and paragraphs, and a strong ending. And if you can get your kids started to do that, your 4th grade teachers will love, love, love you. A couple of things real quick. There is a website called Classroom Champions. I noticed it from the Olympics this weekend watching, and someone referenced this. This is a great little place where there are some motivational videos that you can show to your students when we're starting to get closer to test time. Thought I'd share that with you. Classroomchampions.com. Also, I want to remind you, you need to be pulling small groups. We really, really need this time of year to be seeing during independent reading and independent writing time that you are pulling small groups. And so I put up here just a little graphic to remind you that you can schedule your small groups and be thinking about what students need in their writing and pull those groups. You'll notice on this little chart, there is no time on here because sometimes a strategy group takes 8 minutes, sometimes a strategy group takes 15 minutes, depending on what they want. But you're going to have a group of maybe 4 students with you, and you're going to give them explicit, direct instruction on something about their writing. And so I would encourage you, some of you are masters at guided reading, and you're good at making yourself a little schedule of the kids that you pull. Think about doing that for writing. Give yourself a Monday through Friday chart. Start writing down what your students need and that they need that direct instruction for, and start pulling those small groups. We want to see those small groups happening. I'm going to stop for just a second and I'm going to share with you a quick video. Um, and I'm only going to show you just a couple of seconds of it. So if you'll hold on just a second. There and they have to they do it in their own writing, and so she's helping those students with that writing. The point is of what we're trying to get across is that we want you to be pulling small groups, and they're going to get a lot more out of sitting at a table with a teacher, getting that instruction versus you trying to flit all around the room, trying to do conferring this time of year, um, and not really having a focused lesson. So, focused strategy groups is where we're trying to head. Couple important dates to remember. February 27th is the reading checkpoint that's coming, and I'll give you a heads up, it is a poem. And so you might want to be practicing with poetry, getting them ready for that poetry reading checkpoint on February 27th. That's all I have for this morning. If you have any questions or any concerns, please feel free to email me any old time. I'd be glad to help, and I hope you all have a fantastic Monday and a great week. Bye, everyone.